with everybody. How's everyone? Looks like month number 6 of quarantine hair.
Yeah.
For me, oh my God, JawzD, if you could see it, man, it is.
Oh, there we go.
It is not looking pretty. It's
But you should be able to get your haircut now.
soon.
If you're able to plan it out. If you're able to plan it out, that's all.
I'll plan something of a safe nature, hopefully, but you know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So
I usually just do my hair myself, and it's a very simple thing. If I want to do more simple, like more fancy stuff, like a fade, then I have to like learn how to do it. But otherwise, I just
wish I had a brother's hair. Trust me. I wish I just wake up in the morning, shave my face, then shave my head. You know.
Yeah.
You know, adjust the razor setting, and that's it. You know. But oh well. All right, people are starting to come on in. Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So today's just going to be a little bit of a chill fest. What we're going to be doing is, you know, this weekend would have been San Diego Comic-Con, and on top of that, you know, even the guys at BotCon, Pete Sinclair and Brett and all of them, they're kind of doing their own thing too, which I think they're going to be doing at like 10 o'clock too. They're going to be doing a little mini panel. Like, this is yet another, like, hey guys, like it's the weekend and we would have been at a con, but we're not at a con. You like my, people notice I'm wearing my Kool-Aid shirt today. I don't know why, I just felt like wearing it. Everyone's like, nice shirt. Oh yeah. But yeah, so we're just gonna chill today. We're gonna do some Q&A, some super chats. We're gonna just, you know, talk, do some questions. How you doing, Steven? Steven, one of our members, one of our Patreon dudes. He has a special little logo next to his name. Anyone who's part of our Patreon or part of our membership thing, they get a little logo next to their name, and then you can get a choice of many different logos of Bumblebee, Hot Rod, and Jazz, and all of them. So Steven chose Bumblebee there. Those were done many years ago by a guy named Taco Salad back in the day in the fandom. He just totally fell off the face of the earth, and I had all these logos that I used to use on my website way back in the day. Oh, you just joined the Patreon, Soup. Okay, I didn't notice. Okay, I'll check you out afterwards. I'll contact you. I didn't notice because I was just setting up everything now. So, again, what we're gonna do today, we're just gonna do a little bit of a chill fest. We got JawzD with us, and
what's up?
we're just gonna talk toys. There was a lot of discussions. Like JawzD sent me. You know, we were talking about how Wei Jiang got busted, and what's going to be happening in China in the future. And I mean, there was a lot of discussion. There was a lot of discussion of, like, you know, why did it happen. Some people were saying, like, you know, the only reason why it happened was because they also started to do Marvel stuff. And so it wasn't so much Hasbro, you know, dropping the hammer, but like Disney going like, oh, hell no, you know?
Yeah.
But no, but...
well, I got a little worried because when I was reading it, I thought, like, I was looking at it, I was reading another article, and I thought it was, like, related to third-party stuff. I didn't know it was, like, they were, like, reverse engineering actual Hasbro stuff.
Well, a lot of their stuff that they do, and, like, from my personal knowledge of their history, and excuse me if the chair is a little squeaky, I gotta get a new chair. If, you know, from my personal experience, like, they were first, like, bootlegging, like, Age of Extinction toys and, like, blowing them up and like, not one-for-one bootlegs, like, blown up bootlegs and oversized bootlegs.
And stuff that was from, like, a few years ago, I would assume. Like, like you wouldn't really care about old product kind of.
Well, like, there was
going that way.
There was Titan Return stuff, that same thing. They would blow it up. Some of it was one-for-one. But in general, like, what was going on was they were just, I mean, straight up bootlegging in a lot of ways. I mean, sure, you know, the argument, you say, oh, it's a blown up version, it's not a one-for-one, but it's still a bootleg. You know, the argument I could give too, it's like, look, there's the layers of, like, what are you doing that is illegal? Like, it's like, you know, tier 1, excuse the sounds in the background, I'm getting all these messages. You know, there's tier 1 where it's like, okay, you're doing a one-for-one bootleg. That's like, all right, you're straight up doing something illegal. Tier 2, it's like you're taking the bootleg, but you're changing it somehow. You're like changing the head or blowing it up or, you know, changing the colors on it. It's still you're still stealing, the mold and the concept and the IP, but you're changing it a little bit. It's still legal, but it's like the tier 2 of that. And then tier 3 is kind of like what third party does, which is they just steal the IP and they just call it something else. They call it, Fast Talker, and it's clearly G1 Blur. It's designed like G1 Blur. It's a brand new tooling, but it is, at the end of the day, G1 Blur. And it's, again, still illegal, but, that's where it's like the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's where, like, someone just mentioned here, FC mentioned, like, Zeta Unicron, which was like original tooling, brand new original tooling, but it's clearly G1 Unicron. and I mean, Hasbro shut them down. Oh, is Larry here? Where's
Yo, Larry.
Ultra Primal just said Larry's here.
Yep. Happy belated.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I wished him happy birthday on the stream because it was his birthday last Saturday, and everyone was like, happy birthday, like, went crazy. I was like, whoa, okay. Big Daddy Reviews says, JawzD, what is your favorite Transformer toy line? And what Transformer show you grew up with? So we'll start first with toy line.
I definitely grew up with G2 and Beast Wars. And I would say definitely Beast Wars is the one I dig the most. And that was the one that me and Protoman ended up bonding over when we first met each other way back in high school. Beast and then getting to see the madness of his mind and being able to share that episode where Starscream's ghost comes back and then it all tied together.
I remember when that episode first aired, because what's hilarious is, and you have to understand, this is like early days of the internet. So I remember telling the basketball team, which was part of my math class, going like, there's going to be an episode of Beast Wars where G1 Starscream comes back. And they're like, yo, the guy with the screechy voice? I'm like, yeah, he's going to come back. And that was a rumor online, right? And they're like, oh, you're full of it, like, because there was still this thing where it's like Beast Wars was its own thing. Like, it was almost like its own...
exactly.
Like, we weren't really sure, is it its own continuity? Is, like, and so you're talking, like, late season 1, and everyone thought I was full of shit, and then it happened. And then the next day at school, everyone's like, yo!
I think my favorite of that episode is where Starscream's like, oh, I fell in the battle of Unicron and da-da-da. And then I'm watching this, I'm like, that didn't happen. He got killed by Galvatron. And then Black Arachnia says that later on. I was like, oh, it's connected. Because I saw the animated movie. I used to rent it a lot from an old video store that was near me. So seeing that and remembering it and knowing that it connected was really cool. And to answer the first part of the question, favorite toy line. I'm glad. I want to say Car Robots. I think Car Robots was a really good one that was like a return to form, back to cars.
You and Tony
getting
Bacala.
like interesting different designs for the cars and stuff like that. And for at least the Autobots, the first main section of the Autobots.
Well, yeah,
so.
the Decepticons were primarily
repaints.
Repaints, with the exception of Devil Gigatron or Gigatron.
Yeah.
Everyone was, from another line, pretty much.
Yeah, and getting that iconic Skybite and
the better painted Skybite. Yeah.
And what's his name? Not Evil Optimus Prime, but
Scourge, aka Black Convoy.
Black Convoy, Scourge, getting that out of that series as well. I would say second runner-up is animated for sure, because we get that giant chunky lug nut from the animated series, but then it also goes into was it the Reveal the Shield?
I think
lug nut.
It was either Reveal the Shield or Hunt for the Decepticons. It was one or the other. That was 2010, where classics kind of had like 3 different names.
Mm-hmm. And you got that really interesting, like you'll get like animated characters in that line as like real looking vehicles. I thought that was also cool too. So I think that'd be my runner-up if I had to.
He also wants to know what's your least favorite character in Transformers.
Oh boy,
that's a tough one. I know.
Do I have a least favorite?
I usually just fall on Night Scream at this point. That just kind of that becomes like my go-to now.
I don't know. I don't know if do I have one that I kind of like dislike? Just like, this guy. I think growing up it would have been Starscream, because you're just like, why doesn't he just get kicked out already? Like, this is ridiculous.
Megatron puts up with too much.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's iconic. You know, you got to have that
Of
backstabber there.
course.
That makes the interesting part of it.
Well, even
I
and the
think maybe
fun.
when I was younger, Starscream, older, um, I think Hot Rod was the whipping boy. But then you get older again, and you're like, no, geez, Larry over here, jazz sucks. You get out of here. Maybe I don't know. That's a deep think on
No,
that
yeah,
one.
I have the same problem where it's like it's it's funny you have like millions of Transformer characters, but it's
Hmm.
like hate is a strong word, and it's just one of those things where it's like I actually had to like really think about it, and I kind of just fell on like what, Nightscream never really had a good toy, and it was a
Mm.
fragile toy, and it was an out, and then on top of that he didn't really add to the show. He was kind of annoying. I don't really like his design. So it was a lot of different things where it's like, I mean, I can look at,
Oh,
you
I think
know,
I got one now. I think I got one.
who?
Non-talking Bumblebee.
Oh, any non-talking Bumblebee.
But maybe more so Bumblebee from
Transformers
what is it called?
Prime.
Prime, probably Prime. Like
Again, that's
he's interesting. He could do his own thing, but I mean, Bumblebee needs to talk. He's always the one that the younger humans always connect with and can relate to, and like like he needs to talk. He needs to talk. He does. He's not Wreck-Gar. He's not a Junkion. He's not speaking TV. Like it doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
Like why would you take that iconic idea and
that
swap it onto
aspect.
your money making character
Yeah,
that would need to talk.
he talks radio. He doesn't talk TV. It's like,
Yeah.
no, I've never and I understand. Like I think I talked about it in one of my previous segments. I was saying like how I understand how the movie had such an effect on just the domino effect afterwards of what happened with the brand. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh wow, like Bumblebee, not being a small compact car and not
Yeah.
having his voice, wow, that's going to be a part of the character's, IP moving forward. And
Yeah.
it's funny because it's like even Cyberverse, it's like that's how it started too.
Yeah,
Cyberverse,
I like how Cyberverse did it, where it's basically he starts like that to be like, okay, this is the Bumblebee everyone knows right now, and then he slowly gets his voice back, which it seems like they were trying to do in the Bayverse and in the Bumblebee movie, and then they kind of went back. They like triple flipped back on that or so for whatever reason.
we also have, where was it? Sorry if we missed questions because everything gets pushed up quickly. We have, what is your favorite 2010s, meaning that decade, Transformer show? I'd have to say probably Cyberverse. There wasn't really a lot of good stuff in 2010. I mean, unless you count, because like animated came out in like 2009, 2008.
Mm.
But I mean, I like Cyberverse, but even Cyberverse, it's like it was too short. I wish it was longer.
2010s,
Which would pretty much it would
maybe.
give you Transformers Prime,
Yeah,
uh, RID 2015,
which I didn't see any of it
which wasn't
actually
very that
for
good. You didn't
RID.
miss much. Rescue Bots, again, you're not really missing
Mm.
much. Um, I don't know. Do we get the count Japanese version of animated?
I would give I'd say Prime. I actually dug all of Prime. You know, I liked how they changed up what's her name? Ah RC.
Mm.
They changed her up to be like a more of almost like a film noir character. You know, like she lost her partner and she's really hurt and she's having trouble trusting, people and stuff like that. And I don't know, I thought I kind of dug that. I dug what they did with that. So,
They also want to
and
know what your opinion are of the Michael Bay movies.
hmm,
The Bay movies, not Travis Knight.
I I feel like we wouldn't have this huge renaissance of all these new shows and these changes and different tries and video games if it wasn't for the Bayverse. But the actual Bayverse itself, I dig the first movie, even though Jazz bites the big one and he gets this nice iconic toy from Studio Series now where he's split in two. Ugh, ugh.
With hanging torso and all,
Intestine, yeah, and hanging hanging spine.
spinal column.
Um, I don't know. The other movies just get really, really silly, but the fact that they just go balls to the wall with it, and it feels very much like, no, it doesn't feel it. They're going for the kitchen sink and the bathroom sink with all the different stuff they're doing. Because I mean, the third season of G1 did some of that stuff too, except they didn't go into space. They just like kind of played more and more and more with the past of Earth. You know, with like, oh, here they were, the Transformers were around during prehistoric times. Oh, they're around during King Arthur. In this universe, King Arthur exists. Oh, they're around in World War II. Oh, like it just kept kind of playing with that a lot, which is very silly. And
it was something where the first movie served its purpose. It brought Transformers back into the mainstream, and I mean like really into the mainstream that it desperately needed. That it was, it wasn't just like popular, it was pop culture again.
Yeah.
Where for the longest time, I mean, even Beast Wars, when it was at its peak of popularity, it still wasn't pop culture yet. Where, like, people aren't parodying you. Like, at most, there was a Dexter's Lab episode that parodied Beast Machines. That was
yeah.
So it's like it, and so the movies really serve to be that bridge to bring it back to that. Are the movies any good? Well, like you said, like 2007 movie, that was a good paced beginning, middle, and end. The other ones, I find, I mean, there was someone that contacted me. I remember he sent me like a huge paragraph, like a huge essay of why I was wrong for hating Revenge of the Fallen. And then and you know what I usually do? And then all I said, I said, oh, could I ask you a question? Did you ever see Beast Wars? And they said, no, I was 7 when Revenge of the Fallen came out. I haven't seen Beast Wars yet. And then I went, oh, okay, I understand. And that was it. Because sometimes it's when someone grew up with those movies, it's very tough to kind of kick the nostalgia. Because, look.
And look at it critically.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm able to watch Street Sharks, Cowboys of Moo Mesa, Bots Master, King Arthur, Knights of Justice, and honestly admit, look, I like them, but I know that they're crappy 90s deep cartoons. Like, I will recognize them. I won't like
the movies, but I wouldn't recommend them.
I won't shake really like a Ninja Turtle fan down and go, no, it's Street Sharks or nothing. Like
Biker Mice for Mars for life.
Yeah, for life, bro. Let's rock and ride,
Limburger, you gotta go down.
But that's just it. Like to me, I reckon it's the same thing. Like I grew up with G1, but I can't, in my own, out of due respect, I can't with my own right mind say G1 is better than Beast Wars in terms of writing and character development. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I had a guy that was just like, how could you talk so badly of Revenge of the Fallen? And I was just like, look, bro. Hey, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. That's fine. But I just have 2 questions, And it's to me, it's like I feel like Beast Wars is that litmus test. I always feel like if you haven't seen Beast Wars, then everything that you've really seen that has the Transformers logo on it really it has to be nostalgia. You're talking like I sat down with Jeremy from TFCon, former staff Jeremy, and Jeremy was like, and he never saw Beast Wars. And I was just like, what do you mean you've never seen it? He's like, oh, I just, it looks stupid. And I was just like, what do you mean it looks stupid? Oh, well, because it's talking animals. And I'm just like, okay, I get that. So is Grimlock. And people love that. Oh, but it's different. It's a mechanical T-Rex. I'm like, all right, I get it. Like, look. And look, even Goober.
I'm glad you didn't see, like, okay, Looney Tunes. Or Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Well, it's because.
But I mean,
the argument
it's not meant to be mean about it.
And what I love is when people tell me like, oh, the CG is dated. I'm like, compared to what? Compared to what? I challenge you. Show me one television show that has CG today that is even close to season 2 or season 3 Beast Wars. Let alone if we get into like Shadow Raiders, which is like another mainframe creation that's like amazing. People need to understand.
Because I would usually say like, okay, fine, but I still feel it's relatively on par with Toy Story that was around roughly the same time. I think Toy Story was like a year.
I think when you look at Toy Story's human characters, like
they looked.
Oh my God, they're like something out of nightmares. Where at least Toy Story at least was kind of lucky because they were toys, you could have these weird, uncanny
And
valley
they
kind
weren't
of
even
thing.
licensed toys too. On top of it,
Well,
they didn't
most
have
of
any
them,
models. They just made up their own thing.
most
And
of
they're
them,
kind
except
of there's some that are loosely based on certain things, like the Army Men,
Mr.
the
Potato
Slinky
Head.
Dog, the T-Rex toy. But
Again, but it's to me, I've always felt that you have to kind of be able to separate that. I think that,
yeah,
that's always been good, like why I've been really good when it comes to like creative consultant, when it comes to helping with products with companies, is because I'm
mm,
able to take my emotion out of it and go, this is what will work. Like
hmm
it's like it's
and that's
I've
always go on,
no, I
sorry.
was gonna say like it's I've always said many times where it's like if I had to dictate a transformer line, Hot Rod wouldn't even make the first cut.
Mm,
Like I recognize where he is on the pecking order and what would sell. Like
yeah,
it always makes sense.
you can't be self-indulgent right
You
off the
can't.
bat.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? He'll get in wave 3 or something. Like
Because we haven't had a lot of jazz toys. It's going to be all jazz
it's gonna
from
be
now
all
on. Like
jazz.
you can't do that.
We're gonna have every version of jazz. We're gonna have Mazda RX-8. We're gonna have Porsche. We're gonna have Solstice. We're gonna have all the
Mazda
jazz.
RX-7. We're gonna
Yeah,
do it all.
every jazz possible. Let's see. Let's go to some questions. Sorry guys if we miss anything. Jeez. I remember someone was asking. Oh, that
Maybe.
someone
Oh,
asked,
go on.
as a Hot Rod fan, what do you think of Age of Extinction? Um, you know what? Like, I always say that if you look at a movie character and you could have called him anything else and you would believe it, then it's not that character. Like movie Hot Rod, if they would have called him Cliff Jumper, I would have believed it. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Yeah, it's a French cliff jumper now, but it's like, oh, it's Bumblebee's partner in crime, from World War II. Like to me,
yeah.
that's all. It's in the same way that when we looked at Bumblebee movie Blitzwing, and everyone's like, that's totally Starscream. You
hmm
want that kind of dynamic where when you look at a character, if you don't know his name and you took a guess, that would be it. When you look at movie Hot Rod, that's kind of the problem, is
Yeah.
because you look at him, and granted, yeah, visuals are obviously different with the Bay movies. I understand that, but there's nothing about him that screams Hot Rod. He's a Lamborghini. Hot Rod historically was never that. Yeah, he was a supercar, but he was never a Lamborghini. And then when you
hmm
start looking at the colors, well, that's all a departure right there. And he had a time ability, like a time stop ability. That's like Elita 1 from like G1. So again, there's nothing inherently that said it was Hot Rod, but it's a trademark thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate the character. Like I was like, oh hey, it's movie Hot Rod, cool.
Well, wasn't the first I think rumor from the movie before where it was Enzo? Enzo was supposed to
Dino,
be
Dino,
Dino.
aka Enzo, aka Mirage, like whatever name they were gonna call him.
hmm
Yeah,
Wasn't Hot Rod in the mix in
there
that, or
was
was that own toy only? I think.
there was a rumor where he was supposed to be Dino or Enzo, and he was gonna be voiced by Peter Weller. That was like the rumor that was going along around for a while, and then it just kind of disappeared, and then we ended up with what we had. But I never really got
But didn't they use that character's toy in
no. Well,
what wasn't it for the Ark or something? He came packaged with something and he was named Hot. Like wasn't there a Hot Rod
there
used for the
was
name?
there was in Dark of the Moon there was a 3-pack from Walmart that was
Mm.
a repaint of a classics legend scale toy of Hot Rod, and they
Oh,
called
okay.
it Hot Rod. And it didn't
Okay.
have any bio, it didn't have any explanation. It was just, and I'm looking at it right now, like it came with a Bumblebee and a legend scale Bumblebee and a legend scale Soundwave done in
hmm
G1 colors, and it was just like this Walmart exclusive thing, and it didn't mean anything. And
Oh,
we
okay.
and
Okay.
again, we wouldn't really get our first movie Hot Rod until the last night. And in my opinion, like again, it's the thing is I never got excited about Hot Rod being in the movie because I always felt like if he did end up in the movie, he would probably just get the same treatment as any other character. Get maybe
Yeah.
5 lines or less, and that's it. And
And then
and
die in the next movie.
or not show up at all, and
Yeah.
he'll have 50,000 toys. He'll
Yeah.
have he'll have 20 toys, bed sheets, posters, and I was totally right. He appeared in the last night. He had about 5 to 6 lines. and then he had tons of merchandising. He had posters. He had Halloween costumes. And I bought all of that. I have it all. I have.
Do you wear them secretly?
Hold on a second.
Do you wear the Halloween costume secretly?
One sec.
Oh man. Actually, not too long ago, I was watching a YouTube channel where they buy useless stuff off of the internet, and one of them was that they bought a Pikachu, a kid's large Pikachu costume, and the guy wore it, and he could not fit into it. It was pretty funny. So that is ridiculous.
I don't know if you can't see it in the stream, but obviously the viewers could see it. But
I'm looking at the stream right now.
Okay, you're gonna probably see it on a delay.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So like again, so in my mind, I was just like, I don't care if he's in the movie or not because he won't be done justice in my opinion, and ultimately in the end, like.
Are they even going to go in that direction and do that? You know.
Well,
like, oh, if Hot Rod's here, then he's going to be the successor. Are they even going to go in that?
No, they didn't.
That route?
Well, that's why, because here's me going, the last night, who's the last night? Hot Rod's in the movie. Oh, maybe it's that. No, it didn't mean anything. It was the human character. We have a question from Steven. He asked, what do you think the next Transformers Titan will be? I saw somewhere that it was going to be Tidal Wave. You know what? I honestly, the thing is we have to think about the theme that we're going into, which is with that kingdom stuff, and part of me would like it if they did stuff like Tidal Wave. I mean, obviously Beast Wars doesn't really have those massive characters that they could run with.
Unless they decide to do that, and they could probably do what's his name, Rampage, right?
Rampage I would see more as like a leader class. I think that. Like when you're talking Titan scale,
which one's Protoform X again?
Protoform X was Rampage, yeah.
Rampage, okay, I'm thinking of the right one. The King Crab, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But it's just I don't know, like we'll see. We'll see. Like that's a tough one because like someone mentioned Torka, or like not Torka. What was the microverse base? Because I know you had Arachnid and then you had Orkanok. Which was like this.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Those microverse play sets.
Yeah.
The thing with those is just it's me going like maybe they could do that, maybe not. But those things never had robot modes, so like they'd have to obviously make up something. But then on top of that, that's a deep cut in terms of like like who would remember that? See, like someone said Titan class taco tank again. Like cool, someone like me would love it, but who would get it? That's the question, who would understand that?
It'd be crazy if it worked into them trying to cross over with G.I. Joe and bring G.I. Joe back, and then Tidal Wave was actually the USS Flag.
Well, part of me was...
that doesn't make any sense of what they're doing now.
Part of me thought they were just going to kind of wrap around again and go, well, we haven't done Metroplex in like 5 years now. So maybe we'll roll around back to that, and then
reuse the mold, or they'll
maybe revisit it completely. Maybe revisit it completely, like because when you think about it, like Metroplex was what 2015 or something, so it's been a while. Soup
you should look
99.
for that picture of you with Metroplex.
I have that somewhere. Still. Me hugging the Metroplex box.
Yeah.
Do you think Walmart could have Beast Wars reissues along with Kingdom, like if they're doing with G1 characters? Well, they tried to do Beast Wars reissues back in, what was it? It was 2006, 2007 with the 10th anniversary line. And I remember KB Toys complaining that was one of the things that really hurt them. Like it didn't sell well, those toys at all. So I don't know if it was just because it was too soon. It's only been 10 years since Beast Wars, so doing a reissue line.
I think they would have to really be selective of what they re-release, because I don't think anyone really wants a original Tarantulas or an original Black Arachnia.
Well,
when
considering
they've
how
gotten so much better.
Well, that's just it. Considering how dated some of those molds are, it's something where it's, and especially imagine if this new Transformer Kingdom line that's Beast Wars based. Imagine if it makes these deluxes that just really knock them out of the park. Why would you then want like imagine you get think about it this way. We live in a world where you have the deluxe Generations Rat Trap, right? and then in that same breath, you then have the original Rat Trap reissued. Who would really want to get that one? Obviously, there's some hardcore fans that might, but in general, you never know.
I would say I could see them doing maybe reissues of the Masterpiece Beast Wars toys in the studio line.
I think
I would say that would make more sense.
I don't understand why the Masterpiece stuff hasn't been released. The Beast Wars Masterpiece stuff hasn't been released in stateside. I have no idea why that isn't the case. Either Hasbro is waiting for the Beast Wars movie to come out, and then when that hype and nostalgia reaches its fever pitch, then they could go, oh hey, here's Masterpiece Primal. You know, like, God, at that point it'll probably be like 9 years after the fact since its release. But you know, I think that that might happen more than anything because, and then it'll, who knows, maybe we'll get a Gary Chalk voice box in there or something. That'd be cool.
Oh, I hope so. Gary Chalk and
David K.
What's Megatron? Yeah, David K. Gotta get them both.
We have here JawzD. What was your first Transformer figure you had as a kid?
I'm thinking it is Power Master Optimus Prime. It's either Power Master Optimus Prime or I think Ironworks, the playset for the what do you call the smaller guys again?
Micromasters.
Micromasters, or the Micromasters race team. Was it?
Race Car Patrol.
Yeah.
What was the members? What was one of the members?
Ooh, I think Swindle was in there.
Okay, so yeah, Race Car Patrol, the Decepticon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Swindle was in there. What's the guy with the crown again?
The crown?
He's a red Trans Am.
Yeah,
he's yellow.
Road Handler.
Road Handler. They had the yellow Lamborghini. Oh man, I forgot all the names of those guys. But I think one of those three were my first. But I'm pretty sure it was Power Master Optimus Prime was my first.
Ultra Primal has a video game question that you could probably help him with. Did you find a good solution for hooking up retro consoles to an HD TV or 4K television?
Oh.
I've been told that a FrameMeister helps really well, but I've never tried it.
But those are hard to find, though.
Yeah, they're expensive.
They're expensive or they're hard to find. There's other solutions. Hold on. I should have a page for all this. Video games. Let's see if I have it here.
While you look for that, how do you feel about older movie toys? I like some of them. Revenge of the Fallen, regardless of the movie itself, Revenge of the Fallen had a lot of really good movie toys. A lot. Like it really, and like that Scout class price point for Revenge of the Fallen had a lot of really good stuff. So
which Bludgeon, which movie line did he come out in? Or is that like another reveal the shield?
That was that same like revealed. That was like 2000. You could say it's like the bleed off from Revenge of the Fallen.
Because wasn't that part of the whole Nest thing as well?
Well, yeah, it was 2010, so like it was
technically kind of counts.
Yeah, it's kind of like Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah,
it's kind of movie related.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. There was movie shorts that were put on Hasbro's YouTube channel that featured Revenge of the Fallen. I guess you could call him Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon as an in-universe character. How do you feel about Transformers and Power Rangers being in the same universe? I think it would work better than G.I. Joe. I actually did a segment talking about that, where how they could actually be worked in together if they ever wanted to do a crossover with Boom Studios, the comic book company that owns the rights to Power Rangers. Like if ever IDW and them wanted to do business. There's a whole segment on that. I think you could just like check on YouTube Power Rangers, Transformers, and it'll come up or something. I remember I talked about it. JawzD, what is your favorite mold from the Transformers 2007 movie line?
Ooh. That's the original line.
Yeah. I'm looking over there right now.
Man,
those were some of the rougher ones. Those were like that's where they were like they were because it's funny because like almost every figure that came out like of movie characters that came out in that was better the second they did a Revenge of the Fallen version.
Yeah, I think maybe the old Camaro Bumblebee I think was a really fun one. I remember getting really hyped to see that and enjoying it.
Had the I think it was the automorph tech that they had on it at the time, whatever that meant back then.
Yeah, I think maybe that one.
See, I mean, I'm trying to look. I don't know.
It's that's a tough question.
Well, because it's like I go like, oh, like I remember at the time I really liked Premium Barricade, and then it's like that barricade got absolutely destroyed with every other barricade that came out afterwards. So
because you're completely right. I'm thinking more about Revenge of the Fallen toys, and was it Sideways? Was that character's name?
Yeah, Sideways was Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah.
Sideways was my favorite out of that whole thing. I think I would go with old Camaro Bumblebee. I think was what I was really interested in and what I liked. I think. I think that's the one I'm doubling down on.
Trying to find here. I had a question. I think I missed it. But if I miss your question, guys, just post it again. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Ultra Prime. I'm trying to find an answer here. Let's see. Let me go back to his question. He said, old. How far back is he talking about?
Probably RGB, here. I would imagine.
You find a good solution for hooking up your retro consoles. If you want to get really dirty with it, then buy one of those old clone consoles that allow you to hook it up to HDMI. But if you're actually looking to record, I think you would have to invest a little bit more and go with, where is it? I thought I had it here. There's something called an open source scan converter, OSSC, and there's something else. I think, oh, there it is, the RetroTink. Is it RetroTink? Yes, the RetroTink X2 Pro.
You can post maybe post the link for him in the chat, and he'll go check it out.
And as a source for videos is definitely My Life in Gaming. That's where I go for all my sources and stuff. Yeah,
I think I watched. He did something where he was fixing Atari controllers once. Someone wrote here. Oh, it was Plasticon wrote it. Would you like to see cardboard playsets make a comeback? I would like to see that if they're done like with really good cardboard. I'll tell you one thing, Hasbro would love to do.
Isn't Toy Hacks doing that?
Yeah, they do.
Or something close to that?
They do something like that. They do little backgrounds with little displays for like your, I think like they're scaled for DTOFs. Like that each DTOF cabinet could have like little slot could have something like that. But I mean like I think I know what he's getting at. Like back in the 80s, there used to be like these pop-up cardboard play sets for stuff. They did one for Ninja Turtles. I think they did 2 of them for Transformers. And they're very rare today because they're hard to find like in not beat up condition because it was cardboard. But I feel like Hasbro would love that to come back because it would be so much cheaper than doing plastic play sets. But at the same time, like the problem is the modern toy market is so weird today, and it's going to evolve even more in the next 5 years where it's crazy how much in the past 5 years going to now how much a collector oriented thing has started. Like Walmart is really thinking of starting to do toy collector sections in their stores. There's been talks about that because they were talking about the Walmart Collector Con, which was like this like sub series and everything. Oh, Aaron Archer's here. What up, Aaron?
Oh, hey.
For a minute there, I almost thought he said, "I'm just pooping," and I was like, "What?"
No.
Aaron, you want to go to BotCon? We have to talk about going to BotCon when the time comes. Anyways, what was I gonna get at? Oh, everyone's noticed Aaron's there. There we go.
That's a good question by Eric over here. Do y'all think we could see Beast Wars Neo/Neo 2 characters in Kingdom and or Beast Wars movie line?
I'll say yes because Lio Prime was a trademark with Hasbro at one point, so it shows that there was interest to do those kind of characters. And then the others, I mean, look, Tasmanian Kid was called Snarl. They could just call him Snarl. You know, they could just call him like Apache was called Baboom. Obviously, they're different characters, but they could just use those trademarks. So it kind of works out in the end. A good chunk of Beast Wars 2nd characters were pre-existing Beast Wars toys in America, so it's not a big deal. Obviously, yeah, the Beast Wars 2nd people, it's like, yeah, Big Convoy, that'd be kind of cool to see. I don't know if they'll call him Big Prime, but they'll call him something cool, you know. Where's another question here? Why do some third-party companies announce a figure but then they don't release it? That happens a lot. That I like, no joke. Every TFCon third-party product preview panel, man, that is a mouthful. Every single TFCon third-party product preview panel, no joke, like 25% of the stuff shown there never happens. And it's stuff that I like get hyped on. Like I go like, oh my god, that's so cool, I want that, and then it never happens. And then like 5 years pass and you go, hey, whatever happened with that? Like remember the metal slug tanks? Like those never happened.
With the smaller ones or the big ones?
They did like they were gonna do like big ones that came with figures and stuff, and I forget what company was doing that.
I know the only one that kind of came out was the one that did what's his name? He's like a purple and yellow transformer that turns into a tank, and he has like a
sounds like Hero hand. Megatron. Oh, you're talking about Impactor.
Yeah, I think there was MSS. Mastermind Creations. There we go.
Maybe
they did an Impactor, and then their remold of it looked more like the Metal Slug toy, but it was like a black repaint. Like they didn't go all out with the gray. They kind of just did a black repaint of Impactor.
Well, it's the same thing where it's like, I remember there was this company called BMOG that was going to do like a transforming Rob the Robot from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it had like all this like modular parts and stuff, and
yeah.
I was like super excited about that, and then just nothing came of it. And so there's a lot of those. It's especially when you look at TFCon's preview panels, and you see all that stuff in its early form, and a lot of it just never pans out. It's kind of a shame. But again, that's to be expected. Like when you're talking third-party companies where there's no investors you got to make promises to. It's just like, hey, we're thinking of doing this, and then life happens with these guys. They're not big companies. Some of them are like tooling it out of their garage. So it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just. It's funny. Supposedly, I own some third-party stuff that like had a super limited release, and then the company just went out of business. And like this one guy who collects third parties been begging me for it. It's like a Sound Blaster. I don't even have that much third party stuff. I just ended up with it because I was just kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, Like Hasbro won't do that, It was like a third party Soundwave that was kind of based off of the Transtech character models. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool because it's a throwback to something that'll probably never happen because Transtech was never going to happen. And then they did a Sound Blaster repaint, which is a black repaint. I got that one too. And then I ended up finding out like they made like 15 of those Sound Blasters. And I was like, what? But that's the problem with third party. I feel what I think is going to be crazy with third party is the secondary market 20 years from now. Because when you're thinking a deluxe Transformer, and I talked about this once in one of my previous segments, where it's like, when you think about it, if you accounted for like, if every Walmart had 4 of one deluxe, like literally, let's just do the math right now. Every Walmart in the United States, if you did 4 of one deluxe, and I remember I looked it up, it was like there's like 3,000 Walmarts in the United States. So 3,000 Walmarts times 4. So right away, and that's just the United States, you're talking there's already 12,000 deluxes of that one character. That's not counting Canada, that's not counting Target, that's not counting other stores, just Walmarts account for 12,000 of them. So when it comes to third-party stuff, some of these things, the units are maybe 300, maybe 1,000, so in the long term, if there's a crazy secondary market of collectors for it, there's going to be some rare stuff. There's going to be some stuff that you're going to own in third party that's going to be super limited, or it's not going to be in the open market, meaning like let's put it this way, you have something that there's 1,000 units of it, but every single person that bought it kept it in their collection, so there's none in the open market, and like the one guy that is selling it, he's asking $1,000, so like it's going to get interesting. Well, see, like Rick said, City Commander's set, the first run was 300. You know, so it's like, well, mind you, that's like one of the first ever third-party products outside of Wonder Festival, back in the early 2000s. But it's just, it gets to a point where, you know, I'm very curious what the long term is going to be with some of this stuff, because I see it in the short term. You know, like people unload their third party stuff. They go, oh, I don't want it anymore. You know, when an official Hasbro product or Takara product comes out. But then I think about it, like in the long run, there's going to be like, you know, hardcore collectors of it that are going to be like, you know what, I really want to own, you know, that Azalea RC third party. And then when they find out there was only like 2,000 of them made, and you know how many of those survived, you know, let's say 20 years later, it'll be very interesting to see how that kind of investment works, like that kind of marketable investment. And that one's a tough one to predict, because third party guys do stuff that Hasbro isn't doing, but then Hasbro ends up doing it later, especially if you're talking a 20-year holding investment. Hasbro sooner or later is going to do it with that 20-year holding investment. So it's crazy. It's kind of crazy. Big Daddy wants to know, JawzD, what is your thoughts on Beast Machines toys?
Ooh, I technically have none, except I guess stuff that ended up coming out in Beast Wars Neo, and they ended up in that line, I think.
I'm trying to think.
So remember that dinosaur that like has the feathers?
Oh, okay. No, I know what you mean. What you're trying to say is you do have Beast Machines toys, but it's the Beast Wars Neo ports from the Dinobots Beast Machines line. Yeah. So that technically,
Beast Machines,
counts.
I did not enjoy the actual Beast Machines toys. I think I mostly like messed around with Protoman's whatever he bought, and I was just like, wow, I'm not feeling any of these. I think the only thing I wanted to get was the giant rat trap that actually had legs, or you can make them in the with the wheels, and just never ever found it in the wild, so I just never bothered.
A lot of that, like Rat Trap was part of that. It was, I think it was called the Battle of the Allspark. A lot of that late wave stuff was tough.
Also I do have Cat Scan, which was a remold, which is a recoloring of Stealth Cheetor.
Oh yeah, that's
so I do have that.
Night/Cheetor.
Night/Cheetor. So I have Cat Scan, which is the BotCon
exclusive,
and I have that other one that I was talking about, which I can't remember what's the name of that character.
You're referring to
Desperado, or
no? He was,
but yeah, he was kind of like that. I can't.
It was,
I remember the
his
character
name was
like
his
that.
name was Air Raptor. I'm trying to remember what his. I think it was Arcanus was his, or he had a very weird Japanese name. But yeah, he had a really cool design. I really like him a lot. He was a really good toy.
It was almost like he had a poncho, I think.
Yeah, he had like a poncho. He was kind of like Blondie. But that's like a Beast Wars Neo toy in origin.
So technically,
Arcadis.
I have two Beast Machines toys, but I got the reasons I got them wasn't for Beast Machines. It was just outside of that, basically. If that makes sense.
Me, it's like, I really like the Viacons, especially the later ones. Some of them are really good. Like I mean, I want to say that like Beast Machines kind of found itself at the end of its line, but it was already too late at that point, in my opinion. But definitely, you know, the tank drone, really good one. But again, that's so late in the line. That was one of my favorites. I like the Ultra Scale Jetstorm if it didn't have terrible flaking of the chrome on it. I don't think there's a single one of those that exists that don't have chrome flaking off of it, which is like the worst thing to happen. That's like the worst thing outside of GPS to happen to Beast Wars toys is chrome flaking. I hate that. Like, I think Transmetal Rat Trap is probably the worst of them all. Like, though, I've seen Transmetal Rat Traps mint in package where the flakes are inside the bubble. Like,
I don't want to go back to my
don't touch
Transmetal Rat Trap.
Don't touch it. Don't touch his back.
I think he's in a bin.
Oh my god.
So
I don't know.
Everything.
It was just not good. Not good. Are we in love again with alternators? Oh, me and JawzD love alternators.
Yeah.
You know? Are you kidding
after
me?
car robots was alternators, and it was just like, oh, that's so cool. We could basically buy transformers that are like, what are they? They're one by what?
1 by 24, I want to say. No,
One
not
by
one. No,
no,
smaller than
smaller
that.
than that.
Yeah.
And we could display them at like we were just buying normal, those like metal die cast cars, those big chunky ones.
Mm.
I think we had a friend of ours, brother-in-law collected those.
Yeah.
Not alternators, but like the 1 by 50, 1 by 100 die cast giant cars, and that was a really cool collection. So like it just felt cool getting alternators that were like that, and even the Alternity line was pretty cool too. I have a few of those.
Vinyl Tech, Alternity, Vinyl Tech Asterix, like all of those were, and to a mild extent Kiss Play, because it used those molds too. They were all great. They were all great. We got a super chat here from DownrightSuperb. Where the hell is the TF Online multiplayer game? You guys played Fall of Cybertron. Also, could Beast Wars Resurgence lead to Transtech revival in 10 years? All right, well, we'll break that down in pieces.
Yeah.
The first one, so the multiplayer game, I think you're referring to the one that the people who own Halo were talking about, the Chinese company. Yeah, they talked about it.
No, it's not the. They don't own Halo. I think Microsoft owns Halo, so that's something.
No, but it was that they own part of the company. I remember reading up on it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about a multiplayer shooter similar to that. I'm going to assume like what's going on with Fortnite. But they talked about it once at a press conference, and then I want to say because it was a Chinese-based thing and because of what's going on in the world right now, I want to say that just kind of got put on the back burner because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Do you guys play Fall of Cybertron? I loved Fall of Cybertron.
Yes.
I played it like crazy. It's just, like anything else, you kind of move on to the next games, and then it got discontinued, the online, so that's kind of sad. I feel sorry for people who never got to play it. That's where, because without a doubt, no joke, easily the best Transformer game ever made, especially with the multiplayer. And like, if you had the multiplayer and you were able to enjoy the DLC where you could buy like extra body parts and stuff, and really
extra characters,
really make great customizable characters. Like, that was so fun. And it's such I wish that experience could be ongoing. And that's the sad truth when it comes to modern games today. Like, you and your friends could pop in GoldenEye on an N64 and go 4-way, no problem. You guys can't even do local Fall of Cybertron capture the flag.
The only way I could see that kind of happening is if those games were released on PC and there was like discs of it, and people were able to like backwards engineer a server and stuff. Like people did that for like Ragnarok Online and stuff like that, like old school Ragnarok Online.
That's what's going to happen. And I feel in the future, in the same way that we look back now at emulation with like Nintendo and Super Nintendo, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of guys in Russia that are going to like backwards compatible PlayStation 3 games and make their own servers and stuff. Maybe one day, who knows? But I mean, I really feel sorry for people that never got to play it, because it was such a good game, and it really. And then he said, "Do you think Beast Wars Resurgence could lead to Transtech getting a revival?" You know what the thing with Transtech is that I don't know. Like, you'd have to. I don't know if Aaron's here, but does Hasbro own the rights to those designs that Drexhall Studios did, or was that like a freelance thing, and because it never happened, it just never happened? Like, obviously Hasbro could use the Transtech name, but I'm saying, like, look at all those weird Transtech designs that we saw. Like, would that ever? Number one, I don't think it would happen, because it's so inside baseball. Like, it's so like obscure to begin with.
It's too Robert Goulet.
Someone said here, but here, there's a certain employee that said on Twitter that we might reveal something on the 30th. Even Certain Affinity, that's the name of the company that's doing the Transformer game. Like the tweet. So yeah, maybe we'll find something out on the 30th. But on the 30th, we'll all be watching the Siege series on Netflix. So we'll see what happens. I definitely have to review that when it comes out. What's your favorite Armada figure?
Ooh.
You have like 3 to pick from. I have all to pick from. You have 3 to pick from.
Yeah.
And Aaron Archer is watching sternly.
Right. I think Red Alert was pretty fun. Red Alert was pretty cool. Like he was almost uh, um, like a walking base almost, where you could put all the mini cons on him and stuff.
The little platforms, yeah.
And I remember I ended up selling him at a show, pretty complete, to a little kid, and I told him, "Yo, you got to take care of this guy," and he did. The little kid did. It was one of those things where I feel you give that to a kid. I like the legs. I liked the RoboCop head. I did like him. I did like him a lot, but and yeah, I dug all the gimmicks. I thought it was pretty cool. It's just a lot of gimmicks going on with him, but I think that one to me was the most aesthetically pleasing for all the gimmicks he had and how he looked and everything.
Well, especially of the early stuff that was of that first wave at the time that appealed to you. You know, like
Yeah.
like a lot of people didn't receive Hot Shot, you know, very positively back then. So, for me,
Demolitioner?
no, I like him in the board game.
Oh.
In the board game, he's amazing. I love the mini cons, but the mini cons are not fair to compare because some of them are really cool. I really liked Overload. Overload was pretty cool. He was really nice before they painted him red. Like if you Google Overload.
Oh yeah.
If you
I
Google,
did pick him up recently. I did pick up Overload recently.
if you Google Overload prototype, and you saw how he looked like in resin colors, it's like, man, his details really popped when he was gray. And then
you gotta get really close to the details to like see in person to see that.
It's pretty nuts, like, and it shows really how. I'm gonna go with like Bendy Prime. I really like that one. I always liked the original Optimus just because I thought it did something that was never ever done again, which was here's this here's this truck mode with trailer, and then you take the truck mode, you transform it to robot mode, and when you transform it to robot mode, the trailer automatically, electronically through infrared transforms into a base. And I thought that was really cool. And then you take the robot mode and you transform it into the upper torso of the super mode, and when you do that, all of a sudden the trailer transforms into the lower torso. and nothing has ever been done like that since. And to me, was it like amazing? Was the final product like incredible? It was what it was. It was kind of blocky. I mean, for it to do that, it obviously had to have some sacrifices. But nothing in Transformers has ever done that since. And so by that alone, I respect it from that. So that's,
I would say cool. I would say Overload by himself, because I thought that looked really cool. They only did one color. They only did the red. They never did that blue, that more G1 looking homage thing.
They did a Ultra Magnus color scheme because he was called Ultra Magnus in the Japanese version. But the Ultra Magnus was released in Energon, and it was super limited. Super limited. It was a Canadian exclusive, and it shipped out. Yeah, it was super limited, that one. And what's funny about it too, it was so limited that it was like, according to Aaron Archer, I remember he told me it was like an 11th hour item or something, like that the items that are set on the back of the box don't even match what's in the box. Like it's it was just like super limited. I remember Aaron said there wasn't a lot of them that exist. It's and I have one. It's all the way in the back there, but I have one. But again, it's because like I was a completist and I would just buy everything I saw back then. So that was a different life. Tidal Wave, that's another good one. Yeah, that's true. I like Tidal Wave, and I like that he could.
Oh wait, what was
Tidal Wave?
Shoot, no, I don't think that was. I think that was Energon.
Which one?
Yeah. What was they're like sharks, but they have all the guns on them and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was Sharkticon. Yeah, that was Energon.
But that's Energon.
That's Energon. Yeah, Sharkticon is like of the Unicron trilogy. He's like a top 10 deluxe toy.
Yeah.
Like that mold's amazing. That mold got repainted so much because
got a lot of mileage.
Yeah, because it was such a good mold. It really was. What 3 figures would you want in the next generations line? If it was the Unicron trilogy. Well, number 1, I would want a Nitro Convoy, but it would have to be Nitro Convoy. I would want. Let's go with Energon Rodimus. This is all going to be easy stuff for me. Energon Rodimus modernized, and Let's go with Duelor, the Minicon, getting a larger figure. That'd be really cool to see, because I really like Duelor as a Minicon. He was a really cool character in the Dreamwave comics of Armada.
I would say, are these like new figures, or these
well,
are
like
just
take old Unicron trilogy characters, so Energon, Armada, and Cybertron, and then make them have generation versions.
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe let's see what we can do with the Sharkticon there.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do with the what's his name? What was the combiner? Not the aerial bots, the other one.
Oh, well, you have Bruticus and you have
Bruticus. I would say Bruticus, maybe. See what we could do with that.
2 tank guys, 2 helicopter guys.
No, like make it more like what actual Bruticus is. Actually, like not just tanks and choppers.
Then it wouldn't be Energon.
That's very true.
Energon, like the combiners are very. There's technically 3 molds out of 5 characters for each one. So.
And I would say RC. Let's see what we can do with that.
Oh yeah.
That
OG
or that RC where all of a sudden we're starting to see
the first
RC kind of
motorcycle RC. Yeah.
Yeah, it's starting to come back.
So yeah, that's true. She had in Japan she was called Ariel, and her head sculpt was a lot like G1 Ariel from G1. Like there was like a double homage to that one. It was really cool.
Okay.
Where are we at here? JawzD, what is your favorite Transformers Cybertron 2005 toy? So Galaxy Force, aka Cybertron. That's a
what's his name?
Primus is
maybe,
part of that.
Maybe Primus? Yeah, Primus was a nice holy grail to get a hold of.
That's the centerpiece of like a lot of people's displays. I like also like there was I'll move the camera a little bit. Like
Primus was very fun to mess around with.
There was a lot of really cool stuff. Like they also had Thunderblast, aka Chromia. She was like a new character. Like don't let the name fool you. She was like a new character. She was the boat female. Like there was a lot. Like she'd be cool too to bring back. Like that's an old character that just never had a new version after that. She just had her one appearance and that was it. So she'd be kind of cool to like revisit again. There was a lot of, again, I missed the Unicron trilogy because there was a lot of like unique characters only for that continuity that we just never saw again, and very few of them like Hotshot was born and came out of that and he survived and he ended up becoming appearing in other fiction. But like outside of that, I mean, when you really look at it, you know, who really came out of the Unicron trilogy? You know, that like, and what I mean by that, like original characters, like not a lot of them, which is a shame. You know, there's so many cool designs and cool characters. You know, I guess like Sideways is probably another one too.
Yeah, the chat's definitely saying Sideways a lot.
Okay, they are. Yeah,
Sideways, downshift,
yeah.
scatter shot.
So yeah, Vector Prime, yeah, original 13. Landfill, but Landfill was more of a trademark thing. That was more just, you know, they took like Landfill, the double target master, who was a paid whatever it's called, payload dirt picker upper, and made another, you know, Override, yeah. But she hasn't really had like a modern version kind of since, you know, like again the trademark has been used, but not like that version. Ransack and Crumple Zone, again, it's like we haven't seen those versions since, you know. But Crumple Zone became animated Bulkhead. Yeah, kinda. The design, I would agree. Yeah, the design, the green, the mouth. And the name Bulkhead, you know, that even came from an Energon toy that was actually spraying, you know. So there's a whole weird like history when it comes to that stuff, with the trademarks and the designs. And I mean, that's something again when we do the next Aaron Archer panel, when we'll do the next Aaron Archer live stream, we'll definitely cover that, because we kind of stopped just before the movie stuff, and like we didn't even get into classics and all that stuff moving forward from there. So there's a lot of meat on the bone to talk about with that stuff. But see, Aaron wrote here, Armada had a lot of unique gimmick characters with gimmicks built into their story. Sideways for sure. Exactly. and it's see so Signal Answer. There's a wacky one. Signal Answer was the 3-light stop sign transformer.
Oh yeah.
Who unfortunately still has yet to get a toy, but one day. JawzD, what are your favorite 5 Beast Wars characters? That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Rat Trap is number 1 for sure.
Scotty McNeil.
He's a small dude that packs a punch because he's just putting bombs everywhere and you don't even see him coming.
I feel
he's the most realistic out of everybody.
There was a discussion on the Transformer Slag Twitter, not the Twitter, on the Transformer Slag discussion Discord, that Rat Trap was a racist, and I was like, what?
Oh.
Well, because he judges Predacons before, and I was like, well, that's not race, that's factions, it's a little different. Better dead than pred, but.
So I would say Rat Trap, Pterosaur. Pterosaur needs, I feel, an MP, and he just gets all those add-ons. He gets that crazy gun he had, like when he got powered up.
They could do
rifle.
They could do like a light purpley repaint, e-hobby exclusive Power Surge Pterosaur.
Let's see, I got 3 more to go. Rhinox. I think I dig with Rhinox pretty good. Dinobot for sure.
For sure. Makes everyone's list.
Yeah. And the last one. Who I want to put there? Maybe I want to say it's a toss-up between Tigertron and Black Arachnia, and I think I want to put Black Arachnia because she seems more just like she's the femme fatale and she becomes good. She's so well-rounded as a character.
Well, not only that,
so much.
When you look at female Transformer characters in fiction up to that point, like you have
tons of depth.
Yeah, like you could say what you want about Alita 1 and her crew. There wasn't really much going on there. RC, it's the same thing. Then you go to Minerva and you go to Clipper from Transformers Victory. It wasn't until Black Arachnia where it was like, oh, okay. And, having Venus voice her, who at the time was like, she had just come off of Rama 1/2 with that whole crew. So, like, she did an incredible job and really breathed a lot of life into that character.
Yeah.
For me, like, it's funny, like, when I first watched Beast Wars, like, Cheetor was my number 1. And, like, then it was just, like, a mix of, constantly changing. As an adult now, I look back and I go, man, Beast Wars Megatron. Oh,
yeah, that's true.
He's like my Thanos, like he
succeeded.
Yeah, he really did. He
actually won, and then they made a whole other show where he won.
He's purple. He has a MacGuffin. He could change time. He's Thanos. Like he's so good. I love Beast Wars Megatron. Dinobot comes in there. Cheetor's still in there too. It's tough, like with Beast Wars, it's like I don't hate nobody on that show. Like everyone had, even like the least interesting characters probably like Scorponok, and even then I don't hate Scorponok.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, oh, like when you see him,
you feel sorry for him.
Spoiler, when you see him leaving, it's just like, oh, you don't want to see that happen to him.
Yeah,
it's like, oh.
Like I love like Beast Wars. There's so many good characters. Like I can't stress enough. Like anyone who has not seen Beast Wars, any way you could see it, illegally, unillegally. I think someone told me it's on Tubi or something. Like there's so many ways you could watch it. Find it, watch it. You can't go wrong. You really can't. Is Black Arachnia a racist name? No. It's a play on Black. It's a play on Black Widow and Arachnid.
And they probably didn't go with Black Widow because Marvel be like, hey.
Well, the funny thing is, she was called Black Widow in the Japanese version. That's what they called her. Yeah.
In Japan you can do what you want.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's just it. Japan you can do whatever. There's no trademarks there. You can do whatever you want there. What it says here, TF Slag podcast. Remember when I asked you guys if RED line is red in package? Yeah, well, it is red in package. It looks like they're gonna have red packaging, and the packaging is gonna be similar to that of Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series. Again, no surprise. That's pretty much what that line is trying to be, anyways. And people who collect Star Wars Black Series and Marvel Legends are the same people that are looking at this product. Who aren't really Transformer fans, but they want to have, G1 representation or classic character representation. You know,
Ooh.
see, someone
2B.
says here, 2BTV has G1, Beast Wars, and Machine Armada, Energon, Cybertron, Animated, and Prime. So there you go. Everything's there. So that's one way to watch it. Yeah, see, I wanted to build a figure combiner too. I don't know why they didn't do that, but again, maybe Wave 2 they'll wise up to it.
Was Movieverse Sideways originally intended to be Barricade?
I remember hearing something about that, where like, because again, Barricade's, I guess, status,
I saw you, Bernstein. Don't worry. Just giving a shout out to
Barricade's. What's the word I'm looking for? His status in the movie, if he was dead or alive, was up in the air because in the comics and in the novel he got killed, but in the movie he wasn't shown. So like, I don't know. Like, there's the problem is like when you can't think too deeply about Bay Movieverse stuff because so much stuff was left on the cutting room floor. So much stuff was like never shown. So much of stuff was never used. Then there's the comic continuity, which is it's supposed to be canon, but it's not really canon now. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on there.
And they'll show off new characters in the movie and then kill them off 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you guys get these intros and you get this title card. Here you go, and then boom, gone.
And
and it's like, why would you even bother?
Protoman, do you prefer G1 colored Galvatron toy or movie colored G1 Galvatron? Well, here's how I look at it. Toy Galvatron is how he looked in the Marvel comics, and that's and movie colored is for the animation. So you have both.
Movie color is purple and comic is gray.
He is gray with a gray, like a dark gray face, like the way they did it. You know, depending on who was coloring it. Obviously, some of the UK books did more show accurate sometimes, but it really depends. Because the UK books sometimes were black and white too. Do you think we'll ever get more waves of Cyberverse Deluxes? Yes, I think we will, because we do have some announcements of that. We just haven't seen it yet. JawzD, why is Jazz your favorite character?
I think I've mentioned this in streams before.
Yeah, probably.
Older
segments.
Episodes. But basically, I like him because I felt like just like Bumblebee, he was like a character that hung out with the humans, and he was more interested in humans. He wanted to know humans' culture and get to know us. So it was always cool to think about. I'm talking about like G1 Jazz. So I'm kind of relating to him. He was always a character that wanted to hang out with humans and learn more about us, and still like could throw down with anybody pretty much. So and he was a cool Porsche.
It was pretty It was pretty much him, Hound, and Bumblebee were like the characters that really interacted with the humans in season 1.
Yeah.
And not to mention like as both me and JawzD are both like, you know, gearhead guys, like Jazz, Wheeljack, and Mirage technically are top 3 fastest Autobots in terms of alt modes. Like Jazz is a Porsche GT. That's a rugged Le Mans car, man. That would destroy any of the other guys pretty much.
Especially for those times that they came out.
Yeah, especially 1978 Martini Porsche GT. Good lord.
Williams, right?
Williams twin turbo, like with skirt, aerodynamics, like I can't stress enough. But like I said, the only person that could beat him would be Mirage, which is the Leger, you know, Formula 1 1970, I think 74, 75 turbo, which by the way they don't even use in Formula 1. That's how dangerous they are. Turbo Formula 1. Like Mirage is broken fast, you know. That's how fast he is. But they never touch on that, like because obviously you know you're supposed to ignore alt modes, like that's not supposed. But you know the gearhead guys, we look at that and go like, you know, same thing like
yeah, buddy.
Yeah, well you look at like Cliff Jumper, he's a Porsche, you know, 944 or 911, you know, I think he's more a 944. It's hard to tell because he's squished. But I mean he's also like a really good car, but because he's a mini bot, it's kind of lost, you know.
Yeah.
What do we got here? No love for G1 Pilot Hound. Yeah, he was really good. I liked Hound.
Yeah.
Who do you think they'll do in a Wave 3 of RED if they make it? Hopefully they do. Well, you know, judging by it looks like they do like, you know, 3 G1 characters or 4 G1 characters and 2, you know, outside a brand. I don't know if up to that point we don't get Jazz, we don't get Prowl or Shockwave. Like those are the go-tos that I would do if I was in charge of deciding. And then let's see a Beast Wars character, an Optimus Primal, and if we do a Transformer Prime character, I don't know, Bumblebee. Like,
Yeah.
or if you want to go to animated, same thing. Animated Optimus Prime, Prowl, Bumblebee, Bulkhead. There's so many to pick from. So looks like Stephen Joyce is enjoying the emoticons. I'm gonna make more of those guys. Um, where are we at here? Dino Mirage didn't get a movie accurate figure because he was a Ferrari, and Ferrari doesn't play ball. Even Aaron
Yeah.
Archer could speak of that. They're very difficult with that. They don't want the car
Yeah,
to get.
they definitely they're a brand that feels like their brand is more of a lifestyle aspiration. So a lot of the times they're like, no, we don't want to, we want to be the one making that, and we don't want it to transform or whatever reason. But yeah, usually they're very exclusive, and they want to be controlling of all that. From my understanding of Ferrari, so you won't really see a lot of their stuff show up like that unless it's like a third party
Yeah.
not caring about that.
Yeah, that just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Eric asks an interesting question. Would you prefer a movieverse style robot mode for the Beast Wars live action movie or the OG style? You know what? Like, it's one of those things where I'm kind of like on the fence with it because I do feel that we should have something original, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you also don't want to deviate too much that it's not recognizable. That goes back to what I was just saying before, how like movie Hot Rod doesn't look like Hot Rod, and so it's something where if as long as they have those visual cues that like say, yeah, this is Cheetor, I'm cool
Yeah.
with it. You could be a little original, but don't fly too far away from the core. You gotta
I would
still.
definitely say a hybrid of the two,
Yeah, you
because
have to.
I still want them to look a little bit alien and a little bit familiar to what I grew up with. So like, obviously what they did in the Bumblebee movie where Optimus Prime isn't Optimus Prime, but he definitely looks like Optimus Prime. You're not going to get confused by what he looks like.
Mm-hmm. Well, and especially like Optimus, they kept those visual cues. The faceplate, the blue head, the red body. The windshield chest, like all those visual cues were there. Where Bumblebee outside of being yellow, the visual cues were not there. Ironhide outside of a name, the
Yeah.
visual cues were not there. So it's something where, and again, they got by.
I think the only closest thing probably could be is Jazz's head.
Yeah, well, yeah, they
with
kept
the visor,
the visor
and
and
the
the
two little
fins.
pointy ears.
Yeah, that's and
That's the
and maybe
closest.
you could argue his transformation. The,
Yeah.
the chest being, but aside from that, yeah, totally same thing. The way that I see it, like it's you have to have it that if you were a casual fan of it and you remember those characters, when you look at the screen, you go, oh yeah, I remember that character.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want it to look so different that the mainstream audience doesn't recognize it because they're the ticket buyers. The hardcore fans are going to be there even if it's bad. You know what I mean? Like that's the one thing that people need to understand is that even if it's terrible, the designs and a complete departure, we're still buying that ticket. You got to figure out a way to get those fans that are on the fence, that don't remember it that well. And when you're marketing a movie towards 90s kids that have nostalgia for Beast Wars but haven't seen the brand in years, maybe they haven't they haven't watched the show in 20 years. They haven't messed with their toys that was in their toy box in 20 years. They haven't seen the cartoon in 20 years. So you have to go, okay, we need something that when they see it, they go, oh, I remember that cheetah guy. I had his toy as a kid. You deviate too far away from that cheetah guy's, iconic looks, you won't even have that conversation. So you need to kind of keep that, and that's just like good, marketing in my opinion. Like that's just a way that they buy that ticket instead of a Marvel movie or something else instead. And I think that's where they that's the one weakness that the Bay movies had is they kind of forgot that. Once in a while certain characters would have this and that. And there was original characters too, like Crosshairs didn't have to be the old Target Master character. He really was his own thing, and I dug him for what he was. But at the same time, it's like you know, there's ways I would have done it different, and they probably would. They still would have made money regardless. But I think that the hardcore fans would have probably appreciated it a little more, and some of the fans that would have been on the fence would have probably appreciated it more. Instead of making $700 million, they would have made it 700,000,010. You know, with my decision, like they would have made just a little more. But the long run, people would have appreciated what I would have done differently.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Do you think the Beast Wars movie will be a one-off or possibly lead to a sequel? I think they look like anything. They're gonna dip their toe in the water and see what happens. If it does well, it could totally influence how we move forward. If it doesn't do well, then they'll wipe their hands of it and go back to what worked before. You know, they're doing it to do it, to be different, and we'll see what happens. That's always what it is with any IP. You know, like they'll try something, and if it doesn't work, then they go back to the status quo that did work before. What are they seeing right now? Look, we've done 6 movies. And you could love the Bumblebee movie, but the reality is it made a lot less money than the other Michael Bay movies. Even though it's a better movie, but it made a lot less money. So Hasbro, you know, the investors, they're looking at the numbers. They're not going like, well, I know we're the investors, but it was a good movie, regardless if it didn't make us our money back. You know, like it did make their money back, but it didn't make the millions that they were hoping for. So it's something that the way I see it is, they're trying to see something different, and if it sticks, we're going to see a lot more Beast Wars. If it doesn't stick, either they'll go back to G1 or go, hey, let's try Unicron Trilogy in 5 years. You know, who knows? JawzD, do you collect any Marvel Legends?
No.
You're
no,
not
I do
skinny.
Not.
You're not a kilo.
No.
We have a friend who's a crazy Marvel Legends collector. What is your favorite combiner group?
Ooh. Let's see. You first?
If it's original G1 Defensor with the Protectobots, if it's all of G1, including all of continuities, I'm going to go with Road Caesar from Transformers Victory, which is the Brain Masters.
For me, I want to say I have a toss-up between Protector Bots, Computron, and Bruticus. So I'll say Bruticus for the Decepticons, and I'll say Computron for the Autobots.
See, and the one good thing with those choices, all 3 of those were sets that had variety, like all the alt modes. Like I mean, and I love the alt modes that Menassor's crew turns into, but they're all cars. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with Superion. At the end of the day, they're all jets. Where at least with the other 3 that you mentioned, they're all kind of their own things. You know, one's a space shuttle, one's a tank. You know, like at least you have a little bit of variety. And when you have combiner teams, that makes for more fun.
And I'll give a shout out to the Monstructors.
Yeah. Monstructor.
And another team that are all weird looking things, you know.
Who is your favorite Beast Wars Predacon? Megatron, easily.
Pterosaur. It's funny. I don't like Starscream, but I like Pterosaur. Weird, huh?
Josh Perez.
Runner up. Definitely runner up is Waspinator.
Josh Perez is streaming, so if you want to see Josh Perez, he's streaming right now. Go check him out. I think he's doing the coloring stuff. Where are we at here? So Beast Wars movie is confirmed. I read on TFN at Paramount was writing an ad. So yeah, so what's going on essentially is there's talks of an animated movie, like a made for CG only movie, and a Beast Wars live action. The rumor now is more because of what's happening in the world in the Big V. They might lean more towards that animated movie, just because it's easier to make in isolation. But again, things could change. You know, look, we're doing this every 2 months. We have to figure out what's going on in the world every 2 months. So we'll see what happens with that. Do you prefer alternate universe Dead Prime or Nemesis Prime? Well, in my opinion, those are 2 different characters. One is a guy that's dead, and one is an evil clone. So,
one's a guy that's just straight up dead.
Yeah, one is a guy who's
Nemesis Prime.
He's taking a nap. One's just tired. Yeah.
I actually not too long ago watched Lindsay Ellis, Nostalgia Chick, video of her talking about the '86 movie.
Okay.
and it was pretty funny because like she talks about like so when they die they just turn into different colors. What? And then she mentions that later on Ultra Magnus is technically dead, but the Junkions put him back together like nothing happened.
It was to show that he wasn't technically dead. I
Yeah,
always
it was cool.
I always
It was a good video. It was pretty
I
funny.
attribute like the discoloration thing. I attribute it to like that's when the spark truly dies, and then like they kind of like turn gray. And certain characters like they haven't died completely yet. Like they're in critical.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why the colors haven't left them yet. And in the case of Ultra
His
Magnus,
Mm-hmm.
Ultra Magnus he was dismembered, but he wasn't dead yet. And then again, Transformers are different from humans. You know, losing an arm won't kill you right away. So it's you know there's no bleed out, so to speak. But again,
unless you have smoke coming through your eyes and mouth.
Yeah, well,
like Prowl did.
Well, Prowl, it's like he got shot in the chest, so we could assume like you know his spark slowly. You know, it's one of those things we're trying to get into the science fiction of G1
and there was
stuff.
none of that there. There was no.
They weren't thinking about it back then.
No.
Daniel and Wendell, who is your favorite RID 2001 character? Car robots. Ooh. That's a tough one.
JRX team. I'm cheating.
Me, it's like a tie between Speedbreaker and Mach Alert, aka Prowl and
yeah. Oh man, they're all good.
Indie Heat was cool too. Who was known as Skid Z. I liked him.
I definitely liked Optimus Prime.
Yeah, Prime was amazing.
Ultra
toy.
Magnus was cool too because they
Magnus,
actually had like they had hands, they had opposable thumbs, they had a whole posable like not digits, but just the whole hand would move up and down. Skybite was awesome. Oh man, but I think the JRX team I dug a lot.
Hey Protoman, do you think if they did a sequel to the Bumblebee movie, should Optimus give him his truck, grill, abs, or stay the original look that he had in the Bumblebee movie? Well, think about it this way from a business standpoint. They already did toys and merchandise of that appearance of Optimus. So if you do a sequel, change it up a little bit. You know, maybe, again, keep that general iconic look, but change it up a little bit so you could sell people a new toy. That's the business option. So, yeah, change it up a little bit. Just so you could... Like, look at Revenge of the Fallen Bumblebee to 2007 Bumblebee. How they just kind of changed it up just a little, give him a little bit of a spoiler, you know, a little bit of a paint change. And then they would do the same thing with Dark of the Moon and finally with Age of Extinction before the big changes started happening to his design. It's another way to sell you more toys. That's the business way to do it. Where are we at here? Do you want to see a new version of the Unicron trilogy figures? Of course. 100%. 200%.
Sure. Yeah. Today's engineering, for sure.
One of my favorite characters comes from that. So, you know, I would love to see that. Why would you say that Transformers Prime wasn't in your top 5? Because there's a lot. I've seen everything of Transformers, like everything, and then some. And Transformers Prime is good. It's almost great, but it's good. I don't want to say it's bad. That's the one thing, because just because I don't put it in my top 5 doesn't mean I don't like it. But they brought a lot of good stuff to the table. I like how it talks about the original 13 more, which a lot of other Transformer series has never even touched.
Even got a chance to touch properly.
But it was more of the potential. I felt like you know, when you're gonna have an American written CG Transformer series, I guess I was expecting more. And not to mention, it did have a lot of hurdles. There was a lot of problems with the production of the series, but that's a whole other discussion. My favorite Transformer series just did stuff that I feel either has never been done since, or did stuff to the limit that is, you know, like something like Master Force. Like, man, like no Transformer series has done that since. And those are amazing characters, amazing. Anyone who's ever watched Master Force loves it. That's the one thing. Like, I always tell people, watch it, and when they do, they go, oh my god, now I'm going to be poor because Master Force toys are expensive, you know? Like, I think that's another reason why a lot of people don't lean towards Master Force, is because if they do end up liking it, get yourself a God Ginrai. You know, like, it's tough. I get where they're coming from with that. Animated, I mean, I love animated. Animated is
Hmm.
easily in my top 5. But again, it did something that really we haven't seen since. You know, Derek Wyatt made that a passion project. You know, so it's something.
And so
If
much characters came out of there
if you're
too.
gonna watch Master Force, guys, find the fan subs online by TV Nihon. They did an incredible job with Hydra and Lonely Gamer were the ones who did the subtitles. They did a really good job. So don't watch the official subs; they are terrible.
Mm.
The official Shout Factory subs are not good. Who is your favorite animated character? Not counting the easy answer. um, let's go with Prowl or Blur. Blur was pretty cool too, but Prowl was really cool. I really like Prowl. Um,
I think for me it would be Optimus Prime and then Jazz second, because I think I really dug that Optimus Prime had a character arc.
yeah, he did.
Like
He was
like
he was
I feel
Optimus
like
Primal. He was like it's the same thing. It was like first day on the job kind of thing. Like,
and he's definitely doubting himself. I feel like with Optimus Primal it was more so people didn't really trust him as being the leader, and for animated Optimus Prime, people wanted him to be the leader, but he didn't believe in himself, and it was more so him trying to believe in himself. And I feel like that is very similar to Rodimus Prime's story, but because we were younger and we just didn't like Hot Rod for killing Optimus Prime, like we didn't appreciate that story. And plus we're young.
It falls into, like, I find that all the really good Transformers series that I like, I find that the leaders are always a little flawed. And I think that because they're flawed, a lot of times leader characters get a lot of the primary focus of a series. So if they're a perfect character, they're almost kind of boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're too Superman. So, but if they're a flawed character, if they're going to be the main character, at least they'll be interesting. So, like,
and there's he's growing towards something.
Well, Master Force was the same
perfect.
thing, where it's like, here's God Ginrai or Jinrai at least, and like he's got thrust into the role of leadership of the Autobots. He had no intention of that happening. He just found a truck, more or less, that looked like Optimus Prime that transformed. So there's certain aspects that I really like about that, because when you have 21 minutes to tell a story, I really wanted that. There's a lot that comes from it. Beast Wars did so many things that is just, I almost feel like they had such a head start that I think no Transformer series will ever have. That post that I did on Twitter from Guerrilla Warfare, like that scene encapsulates stuff that Beast Wars does that I just don't see in Transformers today or will ever have, which is just like raw emotion, like facial expressions from high quality animation that was paid by the Canadian government on a blank check.
Yeah.
Like it's something that was just so good, and I want that. I want character development. Look, we're gonna get action regardless, but look what the Michael Bay movies are. They give us action, but they don't give us character development, and that's why
you kind of don't care about what the action is.
Everything is inconsequential. That's the thing. Like you can't make me feel bad about the death of a character if I didn't even get to know him. If
I didn't get to invest in them and their story at all.
It's like Jetfire dies in Revenge of the Fallen at the end. He kills himself so Optimus could get the parts. We've only met that character briefly. He farted on screen. We know he's old. That's about it. My father was the wheel. It was the first wheel. We learned very
little. It was
little.
funny. I give it that. It was very.
Mark
funny.
Ryan did all he could with those 12 lines that he had to work with. The voice actor for Jetfire. He worked very hard with.
Well, I'll say this: he was Jetfire, but he was also, I think, a stand-in for Bumblebee.
Yeah.
As well in the first movie.
For the first movie.
And he ended up doing a really, really awesome job with I was building up, what's his name again in not Revenge of the Fall. What's the fourth one?
Age of Extinction. You're talking about Crosshairs.
Was it No, it wasn't Crosshairs. It was what's his name? The Bounty Hunter.
Oh, Lockdown.
Lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, he killed it with Lockdown. So like even like that was great. That was amazing.
But that's
Lockdown was amazing in that movie.
and again, Lockdown. At least he got a little bit of character because he was a focus of the movie. You know, like
Yeah.
he was so. And that's the thing. Like when you have 2 hours to tell a story, that's why I kind of like the problem with these live action movies in general is that because they have to be live action, you gotta have humans. Because the second you take the human element out of it, it's not really a live action movie, it's a CG movie. You know,
Right.
so you have to say to yourself, like, okay, so if it's a live action movie, what's the balance of human character to robot character? And to me, it's just like, keep the humans to a minimum in the same way that in G1 Spike and Sparkplug were there but they weren't there, you know?
Mm.
Like they could be there but at the end of the day, you know, the title is Transformers. You know, like I want to know what Bumblebee's, you know, relationship is with Ironhide. I want to know what Optimus tells Ironhide to do, you know, before battle. There was like none of the characters communicated with each other. They always communicated to the humans, and you never had any character development. Is I mean, like the closest you had in the first movie was, oh, Jazz. You know?
And it's so weird because like Jazz
Oh,
goes and
well.
talks with them. He's like, oh, like Jazz when Bumblebee gets kidnapped, and Jazz like, I'll go talk to Prime, and like he's kind of like taking the team's concerns and talking to Prime about it, and you're like, oh wow, he's you know he's like the second in command, and then geez, Jazz.
And you don't even
oh,
see
well,
that
too bad.
conversation either, which is sad.
No.
Like and again, it's an issue that I would forgive, but the problem is the second movie didn't fix it, the third movie didn't fix it, the fourth movie didn't fix it, the fifth movie didn't fix it, and the Bumblebee movie, you know, it works in Beast Wars in the sense limited cast, you know, because there was only really, you know, 3 robot characters that were the primary focus. They were able to get more lines and just do their thing. You know,
Yeah.
John Cena was enjoyable, and what's her name there? Hillary. I'm so bad with the actor names, but Charlie. You know, they all did their job, and it was a good beginning and middle and end, and no surprise, it was also a shorter movie, so that also helped.
Yeah,
But
it
it
wasn't
did-
like, oh man, 3 hours of.
But
explosion.
it didn't make as much money as the others, and that actually was all they really paid attention to. So they just kind of went, oh, okay, well maybe we need to review things because easily, like if the Bumblebee movie was a success, we would already be having a conversation of a sequel at this point. You know, we probably would have already seen the sequel. When did Bumblebee come out? 2017? When did he come out, that movie?
Really, that long ago?
No, it can't be. Guys, help me out here. When was Bumblebee? When was Bumblebee? Someone will say in the chat.
2018.
2018. See, like
Yeah,
think
2
about
years ago.
You know, we were like think about 2007, Revenge of the first movie. 2009, 2 years later, Revenge of the Fallen. 2011, 2 years later, Dark of the Moon. 2 years later.
That's a quick turnaround. That's like roughly 3 year.
Yeah.
That's like a length of a video game coming out.
So like we would have if it was the normal pace that we've been getting Transformer movies, we would have already been talking about the summer blockbuster Bumblebee 2. You know, if it was what they anticipated. You know,
Haley Steinfeld is who played Charlie.
there you go. Steinfeld.
I think so. I could be saying that
No,
wrong.
someone
I'm not good
FC
at
wrote
that.
it in the chat. But yeah,
I don't
so
think-
it's oh, even Lee J's here.
Ah.
Lee J is here. Everyone give props to Lee J. True dat. Yeah. Lee J. Anyways, Lee J is one of our local guys here.
Yeah.
Went to high school
What's
with
up,
him.
DJ?
But yeah, so the point is that like the way I see it is they looked at the B movie, they saw that it was like, you know, we're like it's like we're not giving you all the pitches, you know, we're gonna play it safe, we're gonna pull you off the mound, and we're gonna look at something else, like put another pitcher out there. And I think that that's kind of what happened, where they went like, you know, people liked the movie, but they, the money wasn't there, and so they're just going like, let's take a step back and think of something else. And it's the same thing I think that happened with, not so much like, I feel that the 2015 Robots in Disguise cartoon, it didn't do well, and that was a TV 21-minute episode TV series, multiple seasons. It didn't do well, which then made Cyberverse become a 10-minute series, 10-minute episode series. And literally Cyberverse, even though it's 3 seasons, like when you add up the time, it's like I think like 12 episodes, 13 episodes, which is crazy when you think about it. The point is that you look at that, and now it's like Hasbro's going, okay, 6-episode, 21-minute Netflix series. So the evolution right now of how Transformer storytelling is being done, let's see what happens with the Siege series, and then let's see what Hasbro wants to do with the movie continuity. And that's what if those are successful, if the Siege series is successful and whatever next movie is successful, that's what they're going to be doing moving forward. You know, like literally the last segment I recorded for the podcast, if you guys want to check it out afterwards, is I talked about what happens if this Beast Wars movie is a runaway success. Like, let's say it is like insanely successful. What is that going to mean for the brand? Because I'll tell you what it's going to mean for the brand, like in a small way. Look what happened when G2 was a flop. They do Beast Wars, and then that was a runaway success. We went 5 years with Beast series. 5 years. 5 years with no Optimus Prime. 5 years with no Starscream. 5 years with no Bumblebee. So it's the same thing. If that Beast Wars movie is a runaway success, say hello to the new era. And it doesn't mean we're not going to get G1-esque kind of toys. We'll still have Studio Series. We'll still have Generations. They'll find a way. And not to mention, Masterpiece is still going to be putting out new product every so often. So that'll still exist. And the Siege series will probably still move in that direction too. But if Beast Wars is a humongous success, in the same way that, look, that 2007 movie was a huge success, and look what Transformer Prime was visually. It's the same thing. So the movie's groundwork success will dictate what will be done in the future. Because, hey, if it makes money, you don't got to be a genius to figure out that that's what you should keep doing.
Exactly.
It is what it is. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've been going for 2 hours. We'll take some final questions, and then we'll close it up at 10, guys. So, 5 years is enough for completely. I agree, Silver. I agree completely. And not to mention, there's so many turnovers. You have people people who came in during the 2007 movie. By the time Dark of the Moon came around, it was a completely different toy buying audience. Like, there was a decline in toy sales, and that was almost 5 years. Do you think there will ever be a Transformers animated comeback in any form? I like to believe in comic book form, yes. In animation, you'd have to talk to Cartoon Network and Derek Wyatt and get them to play ball all together again. That I don't know. I can't speak for that, but that's something I should bring Derek on.
Yeah,
Man,
why not?
I should really bring Derek on. That's another person I could bring on to the show easily. Right. One day we're going to bring Derek on. What is the government of Cybertron during Beast Wars? Well, the belief was you had the Maximal Elders, which were consistent of Generation 1 characters like Ironhide, Prowl, Silverbolt, like original Silverbolt. This is based off of comic books that were done by 3H at the time and some supplemental material. The Maximal Elders were in charge of everything with the Autobot High Council, according to the Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo stuff. So they're technically the government. What is your favorite 80s movie? Ooh, I am going to go with Rocky 3, but not counting, obviously, the 86 Transform movie. Rocky 3, I really like Rad. That's like a classics 80s BMX movie.
Keep talking about it all the time.
I love that movie. It's so underrated.
I'll
go with those two.
For me, Princess Bride and... I'm like toss up between. I'm gonna say RoboCop. I saw RoboCop.
Oh, RoboCop too. Yeah, how could I forget RoboCop?
I saw RoboCop as a kid.
RoboCop.
I was gonna say Predator. I was gonna say
RoboCop.
Predator, but no, I'm gonna go back and.
RoboCop is a perfect movie. there's like, like I could watch the '86 movie and go, I could live without that. I could live without that. RoboCop, perfect movie. Perfect movie. Someone said Back to the Future. That's also, yeah. That's there. That's there. See, like, JawzD, are you a big fan of Back to the Future? Big Daddy asked here. Yeah.
Yeah.
The iconic movie. Obviously, the third one's the weakest of the bunch, but
I think I saw the third one the most on TV.
Ironically,
if
I
anything.
imagine. Would we possibly get new Beast Wars universe characters with the movie or Kingdom? Yeah. Again, if it's successful, for sure, 100%. Beast Wars movie will be a blockbuster. I hope so. Lee J. I really do. I hope the 90s kids turn out. It all depends on how they package it. Protoman, any opinion on Transmetals? I love the idea. I think it was some of the best Beast Wars toys. I love the Transmetal gimmick. I'm embarrassed to say that I got Transmetal Cheetor back in 1997 and was mistransforming him for almost 20 years. I think it was you or someone.
It was me.
The Rockets. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was me that showed you about the Rockets.
I was like, wait, what?
I was like, you don't remember that from the show? They showed these little things
the show.
popping out? Yeah.
You know why? Because I was so pre-programmed for stuff to not be show accurate that it was like, I was so dumb. I will admit when I'm dumb. Do you think it's better to do a solo Transformers movie or more of a team movie? I want a team movie, but if you do a team movie, give me character development. If you're not going to give me character development, then give me a solo movie. You know what I mean? Then give me the one character.
Just focus on one person.
Yeah, if you're going to have Bumblebee talking to himself or Lockdown talking to himself, then have him talking to himself, If you're going to give me a team movie of 5 guys and they never even communicate, then don't waste my time. And toys. Like, you're going to develop all those toys and characters and everything for it to be for nothing. Think about how many Barricade toys there are. Think about that. Just movie Barricade. There's got to be, no joke, like, of different molds. There's got to be like 50 or 60. And then think about how many lines movie Barricade had. Like 2, 3. Are you user name ladies man 217? Like, it's so sad. So
I mean,
if you're going
that's never. I mean, that line is the most truest line ever in that whole series of that movie, where everyone has this really crappy name.
Yeah.
for their handle online.
To me, it's like it gets to the point where if you're gonna do those characters, do it right, or just do a solo movie. Just give me the one Bumblebee toy. Look at the Bumblebee movie line. That line, imagine if they actually had more characters. They would have, like, milked it. They would have, like, tons of toys. Legends manga is one of the best things, I swear, ever. Well, Sakamoto is one of the best creative minds of Transformers. I love him. I remember Rad. It was a fun movie. Thank you. It's an awesome movie. Great soundtrack.
You know what I should have said for the 80s movies? What was it again? Police Academy.
Police Academy.
Oh, there's too much good stuff. Now I'm
there's
like,
a lot of good
Beverly Hills Cop and this.
There's
and that,
there's
blah, blah, blah.
there's a lot of good 80s movies, and Police Academy has a lot of good scenes.
Oh my goodness.
What's her name there? The blonde chick when she gets in the pool, and everyone has to chase after her. Oh my god, so good. Fun fact with Police Academy, Hasbro's got some trademarks from doing the Police Academy toy line back in the day. The character of Hightower and his trademark comes from the Police Academy character because Kenner had the rights to the Police Academy line. Weird stuff like that happens.
That's so cool.
What are your most anticipated games of 2020? What was the game I was really looking at hard that I wanted to play? Oh my god. It was on the Switch.
For me, I think it's...
Do yours. I'm going to try to remember what it was.
I guess that have yet to come out. I don't even know if Biomutant is still even coming out this year. I have a pre-order on that. So Biomutant is one of them. I know
that there's the creators of Yakuza are doing a new game.
Oh, yeah.
That one looks really cool.
But apparently it's not a beat-em-up anymore.
Yeah, it's like an RPG almost or something.
Yeah, they're going like an RPG, right?
I'm curious how
Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a new character. It's not the main guy anymore. It's not the dragon. So it's a new guy now. But I would say Biomutant was my next anticipated game, but I have no idea when that's actually coming out.
What are your thoughts on the Transformers game Battlegrounds? It's going to be coming out. It looks like a cell phone game. And it looks like it's going to be. Look, I don't want to like knock the company that's working on it, but I've looked at the other stuff they do, and they do budget licensed games, meaning like I don't know if anyone remember Fred from YouTube. It's Fred, like he did like a game with them. They did Ice Age games, like they do like movie tie-in stuff that are budget.
I just typed it in and it says family-friendly Transformers Battlegrounds heads to PC and consoles this October.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it looks.
So it's more so for kids, I would assume.
That's
the demographic.
Don't expect what Activision was doing. Let's put it this way. Don't expect that. I was playing Mega Man 10 the other day and thought of you. Thank you. Mega Man 10 is really good and it sold very well for Capcom, so they probably will do more in the future.
They're having a good renaissance right now.
Mega Man 11 sold very well, so they'll do more in the future. Mario Kart ripoffs. Hey, there's a lot of really good Mario Kart ripoffs. Check out Wacky Wheels by Apogee Company, one of the best Mario Kart ripoffs from the PC era, and you can download it for free. An actual new Transformer anime would be interesting. I would love that only because I'd love to see the Japanese writing style again in Transformers. Like, it's I go through these like bouts where it's like during the Unicron trilogy, I was like, I like what I'm seeing here, but I want to see American writing. And then when we got animated and Prime and stuff, and then after a couple of years of that, I go, okay, I got my fix. Now I want to go have Japanese writing again. It's kind of like how, like, you ever get a craving for something, and then you eat it a lot, and then you miss something else instead. So, look, the one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Dusty Rhodes, he said it the best. You can't miss me if I'm not gone. And,
yeah, exactly.
And I always feel that's how it is with Transformers, where it's like,
I think that's anything in life usually.
Oh yeah, but Dusty used to say it because he would do the territories. Yeah. So he's like, if he's too overexposed, send me to Vince, and then they'll miss me. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
That was the money making logic back then. So it was the same thing where it's like he'd leave Florida and he'd go north for a bit in the territory days. And when I say Vince, I mean Vince Senior, not Junior.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But the point is going back to what I'm saying with Transformers is that, like, during the Unicron trilogy, it was like, okay, this is the Japanese writing style. And Japanese writing style is, halfway through the series, there's the magic mushroom character, as I call it, the Overload, the Wing Saber, the character that's going to be the combiner thing. Japanese have a very specific writing style with that kind of stuff. A lot more samurai based.
They get powered up.
Power up, dynamic,
Armor.
Announcing your attacks before they happen. And I like that style. But the flip side of it is I also like the American writing style. Beast Wars didn't have any of that stuff. But I appreciate that kind of writing style too.
I'm surprised that none of the I guess the American shows kind of parodied it in a sense of, like, Jackie Chan Adventures. They had a character that would always announce his attack, and then at one point the character says one attack and he does a completely different attack because he knows he does that. And
what
he's
was
like,
the animation studio that did Jackie Chan Adventures? Those were the guys. They did like Super Duper Sumos and a lot of weird stuff in the 90s.
They did the MIBs. They did all the movie shows. So they did Jackie Chan Adventures. They did the MIB. They did.
You're right. Yeah,
the
yeah.
Godzilla show. That
was a good show.
I think they did. Was it Big Guy and Rusty? What was
Big
that
Guy
one?
and Rusty. Yeah.
They did. Yeah. So I think they could be American. I'm not super sure, but I don't know. I don't remember the name of the actual. Let's see. MIB series.
JawzD, are you getting the Back to the Future Transformer figure? How about could anyone get it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have it either. Jeez.
I would try.
You want to go buy me? You want to go buy me one for $700 on eBay right now? Anybody? No.
Yeah, it seems really cool. Like, we're all trying to figure out what it was going to be, and yeah, I wouldn't mind having it, but can I get it? That's the bigger question.
It supposedly it'll be available easily later. It's just right now, forget about it. Godzilla cartoon was dope, says Decatech. Yeah, it was. Yep. It was really good. I actually don't hate that movie. I mean, I like it for what it is. One of the past TF cons, I forget which one it was, they were doing Godzilla marathons on TV. and they were,
Oh yeah, that's true.
oh, that was such a good weekend. I
It's such a
every night was all the Godzilla movies, and I was just in heaven because I love that kaiju stuff. It's so good. I was
but
rooming
that
with.
series, the series was really good. If you enjoy that, like they made their own like either homage to specific characters because Toho wouldn't. Uh,
I
they, they,
was I was
they had
rooming with
was
Jesse.
it?
I was rooming with Jesse, and like
Mhm.
Jesse was like, "Are you gonna go to bed?" And it was like 4 a.m. and I was still watching them. Like, because obviously I wasn't turning off the TV, and I was like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
they're playing like Revenge of Gigantor after," and I'm just like, "Oh," because every movie would end, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll go to bed after this one." And then it's like, "Wait, Revenge of the Big Gigan," and I'm just like,
Mhm.
"What? No." Favorite Godzilla?
Recently,
Favorite Godzilla movie?
oh, just really quick.
Go ahead.
Recently, Sci-Fi Wire on YouTube did an episode on Godzilla the series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on the TV series. So
Oh,
basically,
okay.
they're basically telling you like, oh, the reason they couldn't actually get all the rest of the Toho monsters, kaiju, was because Toho was like, no, you have to come back and get those characters. You have to come back and license those characters. So they're just like, you know, we're making our own, and we're also going to like homage some of those characters if we can. So it was pretty cool and interesting.
Yoshi Dude asked favorite Godzilla movie. Of the Heisei era, I'll go with Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, just because I have a lot of nostalgia for that one, and going back and rewatching a lot of them, it still holds up. I really like that one. I understand why people coveted that one so much. Of the new era, I'll go with Final Wars. I just love that movie. It's to me, it's like the complete Godzilla movie. If you're like a newer audience who doesn't want to look at rubber suits and stuff. When you go into other kaiju stuff like Ultraman, I always tell people watch Ultra Galaxy Brothers, whatever it was called there, the 2011 movie. That movie's freaking amazing. Original Godzilla NES game was awesome. Yes, it was. It was really good. It was really, really good.
I kind of want to watch the newer Godzilla. Is it Shin Godzilla? And that's done by the guy that did Ava, apparently.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla. Supposedly it's good. I haven't seen that one yet.
I heard it was good.
I like the new Godzilla movies too. Those were pretty good also. The ones that were the American ones. I liked those.
I still need to see the second one.
Are you
Big
guys
Battle.
doing SDCC at home? Well, technically we are.
I think everyone is. Technically.
You guys are our convention.
Yeah.
And
I feel so sad because like I'm getting a bunch of pictures that are showing up that are like, oh, you know, a few years ago you did this convention, a few years ago you did that convention, and I'm just like, oh man.
Well, that's why we're getting all like the summer Facebook reminders. You know,
the Big Daddy reviews. I think I've done 3 BotCons, right?
Your
the
first,
last 3.
Yeah, you did the last 3 BotCons, and you did every TFCon since 2010.
Almost every TFCon.
Well, not counting. I'm saying of the TFCon Prime, I guess we'll call it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Saw another question. Where is it? How Energon Doomlock alt mode is based on. Oh yeah, totally. I have him here. I'll reach for him later. It's all pinned down. But yeah, I love Doomlock. He totally is. He totally is Godzilla. Do either of you collect SH Figure Arts Monster Arts line? I collect some of the Ultraman ones, but never of the monster ones because every time I missed a pre-order, the secondary market is brutal. And it's the same thing with the Dragon Ball ones and the JoJo ones and all of those.
I have a few SH Figure Arts of Kamen Rider, and I think I have one.
Wendell. Hey, Wendell, are we anime fans?
Oh, I think so.
We are the OG anime fans. We're
old otaku.
We were the dark room with otakus back in 1995. You know, otaku anime fans.
Protoman and I and another friend of ours made a anime club at our high school. So every lunch we would bring a movie to show or an OVA to show.
A VHS of this and that.
Yeah. So I remember one time we showed one of the Dragon Ball Z movies. Another time we showed Golden Boy.
Oh, look what he's asking. He's asking, have you seen Golden Boy?
Of course.
Are you Golden Boy?
One of the best.
Sorry, I just got a text message. No, Golden Boy is the living embodiment of good dub voice acting. like to the point that Tetsue Ingawa, the creator of Golden Boy, said that the dub is better than the sub. Like that's how hardcore that is.
And also good words to live by. Study. Life is study.
Life
You're not
is
gonna get anywhere
study.
if you don't study.
Always be open-minded. Learn the environment around you and be the best that you could be. Kintaro Oe, man. That's words to live by. Protoman, did your first BotCon I talked to a relative who showed off his old exclusives from the first 3H BotCon? Well, when you're talking first 3H BotCon, you're talking when Glenn Hallett was involved, because that would be, I want to say, 97. Because you have to understand, like, the Hartmans were the first BotCon, and then the second BotCon actually wasn't Carl and, oh my god, name's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, the other Hartman. I apologize. And then you had Raksha that did 1 year, and Men in Black Studios did 1 year, and then 3H, which was Carl and Glenn Hallett and his brother. I'm actually excited for BotCon coming up that's going on, because it looks like the crew of dudes that are behind it, it's a lot of people that I respect, so I'm really curious to see what's happening with that. And I'm going to drag Aaron Archer over there, and we'll do panels and stuff together. I'll convince them to fly us out, Aaron, if you're still there. And Protoman, did you get a chance to check out Monster City yet? Not yet. I've been super busy recently. Like it's been nuts. There's so much stuff that I want to catch up on, and then like I'm worried because the Siege series is going to be coming out soon, and I'm gonna have to
parse out time for that.
No joke, what I'm gonna probably do is I'm gonna binge it all in one sitting with like a notebook so I could write down everything so I don't forget. Yeah, I saw the BotCon Waspinator. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I dig it a lot. What's your opinion of Armada Sideways figure? I think he's cool. I think it was one of the many cool toyetic things that Armada did. I like that it was kind of a return to Headmasters. Again, it's another toy that has done something that has never been done since with Transformers, which was like, Minicon that combines to make the motorcycle driver, but each head has its own gimmick, and it has a different readout for the chest like a Headmaster, and just so many little things that Armada doesn't get enough credit for. Hey, Protoman, have you ever seen the He's asking if we ever saw Ava. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Ava, are you kidding me?
Anything. Trying to get some old takus here.
Almost any mecha.
Ever seen Wicked City?
Yeah. You ever seen Blue Girl? You're not a real otaku until you've sat in a room with 10 other guys watching Blue Girl. You are not an otaku until you've gone to Anime North and gone into the hentai room at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, jeez. Why was the Ava MP10 a thing? Because people like Ava.
It's just a lot of the many crossover stuff that at the time Takara was doing. Look, there was crossover Hello Kitty, there was crossover Disney, there was crossover Toy Story, there was crossover.
There's also an MP10 7-Eleven.
There's an MP10 based off of.
There's an MP10 Bapes.
Bape. There's Bape. There's all the shoe lines.
Yeah,
man. What was MP10 not colored? Like if you were an MP10 collector and you bought them all, literally the amount of money that you probably would have put into doing that would be more than anyone's collection. That's how crazy it is. Did you guys ever read Star Ocean? Yes, I have, but don't spoil it for people that didn't watch the anime yet, because that version isn't out yet. Star Ocean's very spoilery.
And also, there's a bunch of other. Was there a Unit 1 Penny Racer? Transformer Penny Racer? All I did was type in Transformers.
Yeah,
Ava
there was. They did the Chrono Q's, the Chrono Q stuff.
Yeah, the Chrono Q's.
Yeah. Oh, they did a lot of that stuff. Have you ever watched Fist of the? I like that. Have you ever watched Fist?
With them
Here's another one, Wendell. Have you ever watched Fist of the North Star?
Oh, of course.
Do you mean Hokuto no Ken? I
haven't actually watched the series. I watched the movie a million times.
The remake that they did not too long ago, the movies were amazing. I love those because
Salva.
the fact that, because like you could go back and watch the old series and it's pretty limited animation and dating for its time, and there was a little bit of censorship because it was for Japanese TV, so they couldn't be as brutal as say the movie that they did, which was I guess Japan did that in the 80s where they would condense entire series into 2-hour movies.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to continue the crossover Transformers toy line? What molds would you use for non-release characters? We actually did that as a listener segment. Look that up. JawzD and Protoman talk about Transformers the Street Fighter series. Just type Street Fighter Transformers Slag. JawzD and me talked about that. JawzD actually had a lot of good ideas with that one.
Thank you.
Spoiler: it was Dalsim from a arm extending long arm. That's one of them. Do you guys know where to find old G1 story pages? Well, you have to, like, see, I could pull them out right now. You have to have, like, the old...
That's not answering the question. If you're pulling them out.
Yeah, you got to go to Yahoo Japan auctions. That would probably be the cheapest alternative. But even then, you're better off just reading them online. To buy the individual pages from the books is going to cost you a lot of money. I buy select ones from friends who live in Japan, and it still costs me sometimes $20 to $30 to have them in good condition. So, because those came from magazines that were disposable. It's kind of like collecting like old Nintendo Power today, except like those magazines have fiction to them that are unique only to them, so they have like a big value in the secondary market. Guys, we're gonna take maybe only a few more questions, then we're gonna call it quits. We're already past 10. Do you guys?
That's what I meant. Where can I find the translation?
Where can I find the translations? Hydra did a bunch of translations. I will post in my Discord the links because I'll have to dig them up for you. But they are out there. I kind of don't want to put that stuff out there too much because just in case if they want to officially use it, I don't want them to take down the websites and get them in trouble. So I rather share it in a more closed environment. That's why I tell people, like, if you're part of the Patreon, like, we have the Discord, and then we have the Patreon exclusive Discord, which I share links of crazy stuff. Like, let's put it this way: recently, there was a Beast Wars HD like release, done by Shout Factory, and someone just took the entire series and dumped it online to stream in HD, and it looks amazing. Now, again, if I share that link, it's bad news.
It's gone, yeah.
So, but we have groups where we share all kinds of rare content and stuff. So, again, Patreon exclusives. So, keep that in mind if you're part of the Patreon. If you're part of the join, just contact me on Twitter and let me know who you are in the membership section, because obviously YouTube does a different thing with that, and I'll add you to it. I know that we have a new member that joined today. So, but anyone who's part of the Patreon, come bug me, and I'll get you hooked up with that kind of stuff. Okay, last question, guys. Last question by Tanya. It's the last question. What figure are you looking forward to? JawzD?
Ooh. Oh, boy. Oh, my God. So much good stuff. Oh, I don't... I have to look. I have to look. I'm sorry.
It's okay. For Masterpiece, for me, it's Tigatron. I'm flabbergasted how good that toy looks. I get the same feelings when I saw Cheetor. When I saw that Cheetor toy, I almost thought it was black magic. So I look at Tigatron and I'm like, that looks so good. That looks so good. Of what's happening with the mainline stuff, I'm really curious to see what Kingdom is going to do. It's all Beast Wars answers, but I mean, I love G1. Look, my favorite character is Hot Rod. But everyone's always like, man, you really love Beast Wars. It's like, yeah, but it's just because it's good, man. But I love G1. Like Hot Rod will always be number one for me. But, sorry, guys, that'll be it for the questions today.
I'll say, what's his name?
We're running late.
What's it called again? Skywarp.
Skywarp, there you go.
Skywarp. Sorry for the lame answer. Skywarp.
But so that we'll call it a day, guys. Thanks everyone for coming once again. If you're interested, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Protoman. We have our Patreon. We have all kinds of exclusive stuff and everything. You can check that out. JawzD, he has Twitter. pimp your Twitter, JawzD. Wendell.
JawzD. That's pretty much it.
Well, spell it because sometimes the spelling is it's
JAWZ with a D.
Yeah, that's why. And of course, everyone knows my Twitter, so you don't have to. It'll be in the when I encode this segment, because it takes about 24 hours to encode these 2-hour segments. I'll put all the stuff in the description below, so it won't be there initially. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for coming. We peaked out at almost 80 people, so that was pretty cool. And we had, I think we had like over 500 back and forth popping in and out. So awesome stuff again. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. And thanks again for all the super chat people who donated and everything. And we will talk again soon, hopefully in a better time.